Nancy, sorry to bother
Hey,
you in the
Bianca.
meeting.
hmm
I was wondering, is Sarah or Stephanie going to join the meeting by any chance?
Yeah, I believe that both, for sure, Stephanie's going to be here and Sarah should be joining soon as well.
Okay, I do have the PowerPoint presentation from the City Public Works. Um, do you want me to send it to you, or I sent it to Stephanie and Sarah, but I want to make sure that just in case if they're running in a little bit late, they'll have it.
Is it the one that says City of Arvin Public Works?
Um, Déjame ver. Yes,
Okay.
it's okay. You got it?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you, though.
Welcome, everyone. It looks like it is now 5 o'clock, so I think we can go ahead and get started. I see quite a few folks are here. So we can begin by reviewing our housekeeping slides and our interpretation. And at this time, I will invite Tanya from Linguistica to provide those instructions.
Thank you, Liz. Um, Everybody, welcome to your meeting. As usual, we have a simultaneous interpretation. So I'm going to give my instructions in Spanish and then in English. Buenas tardes a todos, bienvenidos a su reunión. Queremos recordarles que como siempre tenemos interpretación simultánea al español y la función ya está encendida, así que si ustedes desean escuchar la junta en español e ingresaron con una computadora, van a ver el icono de un mundo en la parte de abajo de su pantalla. Por favor, seleccionen ese icono y seleccionen español. Y también pueden silenciar el audio original para que nada más escuchen la voz del intérprete. Si ustedes ingresaron utilizando un teléfono móvil, una tableta, un iPad, sus opciones se ven un poco diferentes. Van a tocar su pantalla y van a buscar el menú que aparece de los tres puntitos que dice más o more, usualmente en la parte de abajo, pero también puede estar en la parte de arriba de su dispositivo. Seleccionen donde dice interpretación de idioma. Después seleccionen español. Nuevamente, silenciar el audio original. Y por último, muy importante, el botón que dice Done, listo o finalizado. Si necesitan ayuda para accesar el canal, nos pueden dejar saber en el chat y con gusto les ayudamos. Ahora voy a dar esas mismas instrucciones en inglés. Hello again. I'm just going to give you instructions on how to access your preferred channel. If you are a monolingual English speaker, we do ask you to please select a channel. That way you can have that immediate interpretation from Spanish into English. If you're joining with a computer, you will see a globe or a word-like icon at the bottom of your screen. Please select the globe and select English. If you're joining with a cell phone or a tablet or an iPad, your options may look a bit different. You need to tap your screen and find the menu with the word more, usually with 3 dots, either on top or at the bottom of your screen. Select that menu, select language interpretation, select English, and then select done. If you need any help accessing your channel, please let us know in the chat and we can assist you with that. Thank you so much.
This is Liz. Thank you so much, Tanya, for providing those instructions. I'm just going to pause for a moment as we finish placing Tanya into the interpretation channel and have that all set up. So I will just wait until I see a thumbs up before we continue.
Liz, can you make me co-host again? I don't have the privilege.
Oh, yes. Let me see. It looks like I also do not have the permission.
It just turned on for me. Sorry, folks, for
Okay.
the delay.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, so I'll still wait to see that we get a thumbs up so we know it's all set up. Okay, looks like that is set up, and now everyone should be able to click and select your preferred language for the interpretation. As always, if you at any point during the meeting are having difficulty hearing the interpretation, please do reach out either in the chat or message me or Amy. And also you can just unmute yourself and interrupt the conversation and let us know that you are not able to hear. Sometimes there are technical issues, and we really do want to make sure that everybody is able to really hear and engage in tonight's meeting. So please don't hesitate to let us know if you're having any trouble with that. Moving on through our housekeeping slides, we have a reminder here for our naming conventions. These help with our attendance tracking and our stipend distribution process. So for CSC members, we ask that you put the letters CSC in your Zoom name. And also for residents who are a part of the stipend program, please also put the letter R. If you are not able to change your name, let us know, or we will also potentially change that for you during the meeting. And on this slide, we have another reminder for folks who are here from an agency. We also ask that you do list that agency name in your Zoom name, just again for our attendance tracking purposes. If you are joining as a member of the public, we also ask that you put the letter P in front of your name, and this helps us be able to identify you and call on you during our designated public comment. On this slide, we have a reminder of our virtual meeting etiquette. We ask for everyone to stay muted unless you are speaking. And if you are calling in on the phone, you can mute and unmute yourself by pressing *6. If you have a question or comment at any point during tonight's meeting, we do ask that you raise your Zoom hand and wait for us to call on you. And if you are calling in on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. And just a final reminder on this slide for residents in the stipend program, to please stay on tonight's call for at least 75% of the meeting to be eligible. On this slide, we have a review of our group agreements. Hopefully these do feel familiar to folks and we're all pretty comfortable with them at this point. So we won't go through each one tonight, but we do ask that you just take a moment to review and keep these in mind as we're facilitating tonight's meeting. On our last slide here, we have the agenda for tonight. We'll have our usual welcome and introductions, and then we'll move on to reviewing our action item tracker. Then we will have our quarterly air monitoring update before we move on to our SERP implementation updates agenda item. And then we will have time for our usual standing updates before we start to wrap up and discuss some next agenda topics and then have our final public comment. So I will stop sharing my screen tonight and want to officially welcome everybody to our 56th Arvin and Lamont Community Steering Committee meeting. My name is Liz, and I'm joined here tonight by my co-facilitator, Amy. As we begin tonight's meeting, we just wanted to first acknowledge that we are meeting during a time when a lot is happening, and we want to acknowledge that it can weigh on people in different ways. And as always, this committee and this space is meant to be for elevating community voices, experiences, questions, and respectful dialogue, all in pursuit of making a real positive change. So I really appreciate each of you for taking the time to be here tonight and engage in this important work. And so at this time, I would like to continue our welcome and introductions by inviting our two co-leads to share some opening remarks. So I know Bianca is here, and I think Cesar is also here. Feel free to unmute and share some opening remarks.
Hi, welcome everybody. Buenas tardes, everybody. I'm very excited about today's meeting. I know that it's very productive meeting outside of the 617. There was a lot of background on the work that was done with community members, and I'm excited to bring all this good information to the community, especially for the Arvin community. We do have quite a few representatives from the city of Arvin, and community leaders are eager to hear updates on this project itself, and for further working together in communities like Arvin and Lamont area.
Thank you, Bianca. And I'll also invite Cesar to share some opening remarks.
Yeah. Big thank you to everyone for joining. There's definitely quite a bit going on.
Cesar, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think we're having trouble hearing. You sounded really muffled. I'm not sure if you can change your mic setup.
Yes, does this sound better?
Much better,
Okay.
thank you.
Great. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, but I was saying, thank you everyone for joining. And like Liz mentioned, there's definitely quite a bit going on. But I see meetings like this in the 617 space as our ability to make change in our neighborhood, in our town, and the places that we live. So I definitely want to thank everyone for using your energy to help make a positive change in your neighborhood, and really glad that everyone's here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cesar. This is Liz again, and just to close out our welcome and introductions, I'm happy to invite Stephanie to share some as well.
Thank you, Liz. Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie, and I'm the Director of Community Strategies and Resources at the Valley Air District. I'm so excited to be here tonight, and I just wanted to wish everyone a very happy new year. It's been a minute since our last meeting, which was at the beginning of December, but I just wanted to thank everyone who was able to attend. We love seeing you in person. And since that meeting, we've been working on a lot of exciting updates. I wanted to especially thank the co-leads, Bianca and Cesar, for their their leadership in this process, and really thank those joining us from the city of Arvin. And we have a very exciting update on a couple of things, including urban greening and vegetative barriers. And so I'm excited to kind of dig into those updates with you all. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right, I'm happy to officially move us to our first agenda item, which is reviewing the action item tracker. As most of you likely know, we do this to help facilitate transparency and accountability. Our team in the Air District continuously work to update the action item tracker to ensure that the community's requests are documented and that you all stay informed on the progress that is being made towards implementing your suggestions. So as Nancy provides these updates, as always, please feel free to ask for any clarification. And of course, anything that can't be answered tonight will be noted and brought back to a future meeting. With that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Nancy.
Hi, everybody. This is Nancy. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. We do have a few action items to go through, some from December and others from October and September. So go ahead and share my screen. And we'll get started with that. All right, so just as a quick little reminder, the action items are just a routine check-in, and then this is just essentially for us to keep track of items that we need to follow up on for transparency and just accountability. And so these are routinely visited and just updated as we get information. All right, so we're going to start off with the in progress section. And so the first action item up here is going to be from the in-person CSC meeting back in December. And so the Air District will reach out to schools in the boundary to let them know about the urban greening measure for, once the RFP is open. So the outcome is right now the Air District is working on outreach to school districts, which includes the Arvin School District and the Lamont School District as well. And we want to make sure that they are well informed that, we're going to be just to see if they're interested in applying for urban greening. And of course, if you have any other locations or businesses that we can contact, please let us know. If you don't want, you can also let your co-leads know. Cesar and Bianca, they are really great people. And then they can go ahead and let us know as well. And then, Liz, did we want to take questions now?
If it doesn't interrupt your flow, Nancy, we can definitely take questions now. We can also hold them until after if that works better for you.
I can continue and then we can take questions. Okay.
That sounds good.
Moving on. Okay, so the next action item is from October. And so this one was just, we had an interest in for the CSC to learn about the regulation and compliance process, as well as rulemaking process. And this is a great agenda topic to further discuss during our upcoming agenda setting meeting, which will be on February 5th from 4 to 5 p.m. And so this space is intended to set the tone for the next CSC meeting. So if you're interested in providing us with more topics, please join us. And then the next 4 action items are from September. And if you all remember, we had Caltrans join us and provide us with some information. They also did have action items to work on, and they have responded with some outcome. And so the first action item, 53.1, Caltrans will provide an update on projects currently within the boundary. And so construction has begun on the Wheat Patch Highway project, which is sooner than expected. A pavement rehabilitation project situated in Arvin has reached the ready to list milestone. A more detailed update on the proposed Arvin project will be provided in February. And so as we continue to get more information, of course, we will let you all know about this. And the next action item, 53.2, CSC members will schedule a time for Caltrans to visit the community and confirm the location of ongoing Caltrans road paving and infrastructure projects within the Arvin Lamont community. And so this is something that we are going to be taking consensus for. There are 2 dates for a meeting, and so they are going to be February 26th or March 5th. And so Sarah, my program manager, will be dropping in the chats which date is going to be best for a time to meet up with Caltrans. And so it looks like she already dropped it in the chat. Thank you, Sarah. And so please let us know what date works best for you, and we will let Jason know about this. And so the next action item, 53.3, Caltrans will provide an update on the status of vehicle sensors on major intersections. Somebody had raised this concern. And so the state highway system has priority for signal timing at the intersections with local roads. This is why, in general, it takes longer to wait to turn onto the state highway. The traffic engineer noted that signal timing is based on traffic counts and isn't based on real-time conditions. This issue will also be explained further at the field meeting. So if you have more questions about this, once a date has been set in place, Caltrans will provide more information on this. And lastly, the last action item from September, 53.4, Caltrans will provide an update on flood mitigation projects. And so Weed Patch Highway Project does provide flood mitigation, which will be identified at the field meeting, so either on February 26th or March 5th. And lastly, we go to our completed section here. So the last 2 action items are from the in-person December meeting. And so the first one was in regards to checking what type of plants count for urban greening projects, and so whether community gardens qualify. And so the urban greening measure funds the planting of trees within the community boundary, and all trees must meet eligibility requirements outlined in the request for proposal. So they have to be drought tolerant, non-invasive, non-poisonous. So we do have a requirement for what types of trees can be planted in the community. And then the last action item is in regards to the Air District will provide more information to the CSC on contract compliance and enforcement for these urban greening and vegetative barrier projects, including who to contact if a resident notices problems with maintenance. So we did have a concern at the last meeting, what to do if you see some vegetation that is, not alive, not thriving, and not doing well. And so that is a fair concern. And so the Air District will send annual reports to the grant recipient on a yearly basis. The grantees must maintain the project and make the project available for inspection as requested by the district. Once urban greening or vegetative projects are planted in the community, you are, please contact us, the Air District, just for like any maintenance or any issues that arise in the community. And so that concludes the action items. Please, just happy to open the floor up right now for any questions that y'all
Thank you,
have.
Nancy. Oops, sorry. Thank you, Nancy. This is Liz. I do see we have, looks like 3 questions. I just want to note that there were a lot of action items about Caltrans tonight, but they are not actually here themselves. So if your questions are about Caltrans, any of those action items, we'll note them down and make sure to get you those questions answered at a future time. So we can go to the first question from Mario.
Yeah, my thing is on the flooding on Wheat Patch, then picks up the flooding over there. How about Fuller Acres? Fuller Acres got some locations they get floodings too. Are they picks up those locations too?
Good question. Yeah, go ahead.
And 2, I was gonna tell you about the trees to plant. if we could plant some trees right there in Fuller Acres Park. Maybe the neighbor wants maybe a couple of trees that they could plant right there next to the park or something.
Thank you, Mario.
Yeah, because I would have gone visited it and I noticed that it needs a little bit of, some trees.
Yeah, we hear you. And so for your first question, I think that is directed at Caltrans, and so we can make sure to add that to what folks will ask. And yeah, go ahead, Stephanie.
Thanks, Liz. Maybe I'll just add to that just to make it super clear, I believe it was a few meetings ago when Caltrans came, there was interest in kind of going out to the field with Caltrans to talk about to have them, see what the community looks like, certain areas that community members had questions about. And so Caltrans has put out 2 dates that they want to go out with community members. And so I just want to encourage you all, if you have questions for Caltrans about that flood plan or if any of those kind of action items Nancy just mentioned, like Liz said, they're not here tonight, but they want to see you in the community. And there's 2 dates, either February 26th or March 5th, that they're available to do this. So if you either want to let us know via the chat, or you can, feel free to email myself or Nancy. We will share that information with Caltrans, and once it's scheduled, we'll share the final date back out with everyone. They just asked us to help see whether or not there's a date that works better for people to do that kind of field visit. Thanks, Liz.
And this is Sarah. Hey, Mario, do you have the cross streets by any chance for the Fuller Acre Park? We can add a pin to our social pinpoint just so we document that the community would like some trees there. But I was, if you have that, and you don't have to tell me right now, you could put it in the chat or we can give you a call and get that at a later time. But we do want to make sure we put that on our map.
Yeah, I would just like maybe we could talk to the neighbors if they want to put some trees to help out to get shade at this park. Or plant some right there too, because it's pretty small, but I think it needs some trees for the summertime. People want to maybe sit down right there, talk, whatever. Maybe have a couple of trees there.
Awesome. Thanks, Mario.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I do see we have, looks like 3 other questions, and just want to acknowledge that we are a little over time for this agenda item, but we do want to hear folks' questions. So if you could keep them as brief as possible, that would be very helpful. So we can go to Bianca next.
I was hearing for the urban greening that you were gonna do the outreach for the Arvin and the Lamont area. I also wanted to ask if they're including Vineland or Sunset schools. I know that they do have a different district, just to make sure that everybody's all included in this proposal, if they would like to take advantage of this project. That's it.
Thank you, Bianca. I saw a thumbs up from Stephanie. So we can go to our next hand, that is from Gustavo.
Just a clarifying question about the community gardens. I think I was the one that raised that question in December. But when you were reading the update, it was not clear to me. The community gardens qualify for either urban greening or green barriers or not?
Thank you, Gustavo. Oh, I see Sarah has unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, Gustavo. This is Sarah. For urban greening, the community gardens do not qualify. So it is specifically with this measure, specifically trees, and they do have to be drought tolerant, which usually does eliminate a lot of fruit trees. If not most of the fruit, if not all of the fruit trees. So yes, the community gardens won't qualify. It would just be trees in the communities.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I know we'll talk more about that later tonight as well. And we can go to Tim. Go ahead.
I just wanted want bring up. I think me and Margie attended a meeting regarding the remodeling of Lamont Park, which is owned by the county, and we spoke to individuals from public work or public recs from the county level, and we told them that we had money for green urban or planting trees, and they said that they were not aware, but they were interested possibility of also applying. So we were wondering if there's could be a potential outreach because we know that the park is gonna go into the phase of construction this year. So they were also interested in potentially applying for some money regarding planting trees.
This
And
is
then I have another question. I know because we're limited in time. I did notice that they are in the phase of construction at the 184, but it's brought up to my attention that nowhere in the plans that they ever mentioned, but they added security cameras on certain parts of the 184 construction phases. So they're added in the interchange of Hall and Main or Hall and 184, and also Sagru in 184. So is that if we can get an answer from Caltrans, is that a permanent thing or is just temporary while they're doing construction and then they'll go away because there are security cameras there, you can see them.
This is Stephanie. I do think because Caltrans isn't here, I know Liz will track that other one. And I definitely encourage you all to, let us know so we can let Caltrans know a date of, getting out there with Caltrans and being able to speak to them. I'm sure they're happy to answer those types of questions. And then Tim, can you, as just for clarification, was it Kern County Public Works that you talked to at that meeting?
No, it's Parks and Recs. So
Parks and
they
Rec.
were here finalizing the meetings with public regarding the remodeling of Lamont Park, which is owned by the county next to the library.
Mhm.
And we told them that AB 617 had funds for green urbanization. I can never pronounce it correctly, but we had money set aside for planting trees, and they said they were not aware of it, but that
Yeah.
they would be interested because how we see it is if we could save them a little money on planting trees because it's in the original plan of where they remodel the trees. That means if the project has to take a little longer and they need to pull money, they don't pull actual features of the park because they didn't have enough money. So that's why we brought it up as well.
This is Stephanie. I am looking at we have a outreach tracker that we've kind of been tracking all of these efforts. I do see Kern County Parks and Rec on this list that we've reached out to them before, but oftentimes, staff changes, things change with agencies. And so we'd be happy to reach out again. And if you, Tim, specifically had a contact, I'd appreciate that. And I just want to let folks know, even after these action items, this is exactly the main topic for the meeting. So I encourage you, if you have questions about vegetative barriers or urban greening, that's going to be our exact agenda item just in our next item too. So I just want to let folks know. We know people want to talk about it and we want that to be really the main discussion today.
Thank you, Stephanie. So I do see that we have, it looks like 2 more hands up. If they're quick questions, I think we can take a couple more minutes, but do ask you to keep it very brief. As long as the questions are not relevant to the Caltrans projects and then the urban greening, because we'll get to that later. So anything else, I think we'd like to hear your questions just for time. Go ahead, Gustavo.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to mention that it looks like Stephanie have the contact, but Kern County have, I think, the Parks and Recs under their general operation, I believe. It looks like Stephanie have it. But Diana Mireles, which is here, have a contact information for the folks that deal with Parks and Rec. So I'm committing Diana to send that contact information to you, Stephanie and Fox, to engage them.
Yes, that would be great. We've talked to someone at the Parks and Rec before, but Deanna, if you have a contact, please send it my way. Our team is happy to reach out again.
Thank you. And we can go to our last hand from Jesus.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to note or mention for the parks, the Lamont Park. I believe that was the development on that park was based on a grant, and they received that grant because of community support on a set plan, a set number of trees, and a set number of items that they were going to add to the park. I think if they're to receive money from our urban greening, it should be to add more trees, not to replace the trees that they already have set aside. Because if I, as I understand it, they should already have that money set aside for those trees and that equipment.
This is Liz. Thank you, Jesus, for that kind of additional context that you shared. And I think we do have some space to continue this kind of urban greening and vegetative barrier conversation later tonight as well. Thank you all. Really appreciate your questions and working with us to keep those brief as we have a couple other agenda items that we would like to get to tonight. The first is the air monitoring update. So this is our regular quarterly air monitoring update, where the Air District will be sharing some recent data that they have collected in the community as a part of your camp. And this is particularly on trends for PM 2.5. And so as you're all listening to this presentation, as always, we want to encourage you to think not just about the numbers you're seeing, but about what they mean for you and whether they reflect what you're experiencing day to day. So if anything feels unclear or maybe is missing or raises questions or concerns, this is exactly the right time for you to raise your hand and let us know. And this is also a chance for you all to share what could even make future updates like this more useful to you. So your questions definitely help shape what we see and hear in these updates. So with that, I'm happy to pass it to Brad and Alejandro, who are going to get us started.
Good evening. Good evening. Sorry. My name is Brad Dawson. I am attending with Alejandro Brambilla. He is the specialist for your community. So we're going to be going over the air monitoring update. Nancy, are you? Oh, perfect. Okay. We're on the same wavelength. So yeah, we're just going to go through some data and take some questions. We're going to kind of go over the status of the community currently. Then we're also going to go through some highlights, overviews of what we've seen in this last Q4, but also going over 2025 as a whole. A lot of the health-based standards that we highlight in a lot of the slides that we provide are annual based. So we do have all of 2025 now ingested and reviewed, and so we can actually share that comparison against the previous years as well. And then obviously at the end, we'll be going over some questions and comments. This is the current status. The only two sites that we have yet to get a monitor to so far is the DiGiorgio and Comanche Corner out there and Alicante Elementary. We've been working with Lamont School District to try to figure out a good location that we can get electricals connections to. There's been some hurdles over the last couple of years on their own projects, conflicting with our monitors requirements and that kind of stuff. So we're still working with them to figure out how we can get a monitor out there as soon as possible. And again, these are just some pictures. You may see these around your community. The monitor on the far left is located at El Camino Real. It's on the roof, so hopefully no one can see it. If you can see it, it's probably been moved. Then we have our another monitor at right off the street at Mountain View Middle School. And then in the back parking lot at Arvin Community Services District, we have our big trailer monitor over there. So if you're paying your water bill or anything like that and see that monitor over there, that's the monitor that we have deployed for this community as well. And also, we do have an air monitoring ban that we can take out for special requests if certain sites aren't available. There is some hurdles with getting the van out there for a long period, but we do have an air monitoring van available. And just going over a couple of highlights, the district we are continuing to monitor within the community boundaries. We are still looking at appropriate locations for the DeGiorgio, Comanche, and Alicante Elementary School. And we are also doing PM 2.5 and VOC speciation at that Arvin CSD trailer site. And just a couple of summary points to go over before I hand it off over to Alejandro, where he can kind of go through some of the data points that we have seen in this last year. The annual average for all of 2025 for PM 2.5 was actually lower compared against 2024. So we did have a slightly cleaner year in 2025 than we had in 2024. This next bullet point, we're going to revise and resubmit it. The fourth quarter of PM 2.5 for this last fourth quarter in 2025 was actually slightly lower than 2024. That's a misprint. We got our years mixed up when we were making this presentation. And something that's kind of happening right now, and we'll talk more about this within the presentation, is that we are seeing atmospheric conditions where periods of high winds and gusts, also paired with stagnation, not a lot of airflow. So really high airflows and not a lot of airflows creates that foggy condition, creates an inversion layer, which both contribute to elevated PM 2.5. And you'll see that in some of the charts, and we'll talk about that later on. And again, all of our data that we collect and present to you is actually live and available on the community's portal website. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Alejandro. Alejandro is your specialist for the community. He's out there multiple times every week doing repairs to instruments if they go down, troubleshooting if something doesn't seem right. This Monday morning, we found a monitor dropped off. Oh, we found it was toppled over. We're still trying to figure that out, but he's the one that's going out there as soon as we find something that's not wrong, not right, and he's out there repairing it and getting it back up and running as soon as possible. So he's going to kind of go over some of the results that we have been seeing in the last quarter and annually.
Thanks, Brad. All right, let's get this started. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alejandro, as Brad mentioned. I'm the instrument specialist that does maintenance at the Arvin Lamont sites. So before getting into quarter four, I'd like to show you a comparison of the last 3 years we've monitored PM 2.5 for the community. So in this chart, the concentration of PM 2.5 is shown on the left-hand side, while each site is listed on the bottom. The specific year's averages are identified by their color, green 2023, orange 2024, and blue for 2025. The set of bars on the far right that look kind of like candy canes belong to Bakersfield, California. So that's a regulatory site that neighbors the community. This site serves as a reference. It's not part of the AB 617. So for this year, 2025, or sorry, technically last year, but year 2025, we wanted to highlight that PM 2.5 was cleaner at all sites than the prior year in 2024. So the dashed line that you see up there, that's the PM 2.5 health-based standard, and it stands at a concentration of 9 micrograms. Yeah, it's concentration. So this health-based standard, the dashed line, it's based off of scientific evidence that elevated exposure to PM 2.5 for sensitive individuals can lead to higher risk for heart attacks, respiratory ailments like asthma and premature death. So being beneath this standard is our goal to meet. Improving the quality of life reflects cleaner air that supports healthier communities. Next slide, please. So here we focus on an average of PM 2.5 over Q4. So this includes October, November, and December. Again, like the previous slide, the concentration of PM 2.5 is shown on the left-hand side, while each site is listed on the bottom. As you can see, Q4 of 2025, it's the blue bars, are lower than the previous year for all communities. The annual PM 2.5 health-based standard of 9, you see here, is displayed solely as a metric to compare an annual standard against this quarterly average. Next slide. So now zooming into our data on a month-to-month basis, here are the monthly averages for each individual site within Q4. So this chart is organized by month with each color representing a different site within the community. The concentrations are on the left-hand side. In review of the data, PM 2.5 slightly rises into the colder months. So this is due to atmospheric conditions and weather, which we'll talk about more in the upcoming slides. Again, the dashed line representing the 9 microgram standard is only there as a metric to compare monthly averages to an annual standard. Next slide. So this one looks a little crazy. So this one's a 24-hour average of every site during Q4. So again, PM 2.5 concentration is on the left. Now, instead of the annual standard, we have included the 24-hour health-based standard. The previous slides showed the 9 microgram annual standard. This one sits at 35. So the multicolored background in the graph represents the different RAAN levels, the real-time air advisory network levels, to help show the different air quality levels. On the bottom is a legend that indicates what each color represents. So the good category green means that outdoor activity is okay for all individuals, while moderate yellow means that sensitive individuals should consider reducing prolonged and/or vigorous outdoor activities. Unhealthy for sensitive groups, orange, means that sensitive individuals should exercise indoors or avoid vigorous activities. So the gray shadow area within this graph, all that shows the previous year's daily max values, and it's a way to compare all the sites from this period to those of last year. Also, you may have noticed that the graph contains gaps in some lines. These gaps are due to calibrations, usually in the air monitor that we have done, and that obviously prevents sampling. So in reviewing the data during this period, we had only 2 days where it was unhealthy for sensitive groups, while in 2024 we had 9 days. So regarding some of the peaks we saw, the first one on October 21st, that one was at Arvin CSD. It's the dark blue line, and you could see a gap in the line. That one was due to calibrations. The reason for the peak was that we were only able to average a half day of data instead of the normal 24 hours. So if we had the full 24 hours to average it, it should have been closer to the other sites' values during that period. And then the second peak occurred at Sunset Middle School, and that happened on November 13th. We had high readings due to a high wind event before the wet weather. The district issued public warnings on our social media platforms regarding the high winds. After the wet weather that caused the high winds, we were affected by stagnation, like the foggy weather we've been seeing that causes PM to increase. This leads us into our next slide. Brad, you want to take it away?
Yeah, as soon as I get off of mute. So what we are seeing right now, and kind of what we saw leading up into late November into December, is an inversion layer. We have this, it's something that happens throughout the Central Valley. It's due to our basin that we live in pretty much. The colder the air gets, especially in the wintertime, the lower this invisible lid kind of pushes down. We call that the inversion layer. It just kind of traps all of the pollution and everything else in the Central Valley and pushes us lower. That's also why we sometimes see the fog, because of this inversion layer pushing down this invisible lid on us. It's not able to, the heavy moisture levels aren't able to expand and release. It's kind of like a balloon. The hotter it gets, the bigger the balloon gets, but the colder it gets, the smaller the balloon gets. That's kind of our air. So with this inversion layer, this invisible lid, pretty much temperature driven, reducing into the Central Valley, it increases PM 2.5 because it reduces the amount of air we actually have to breathe. And this is something that just happened recently. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this. I'm going to share a couple of slides real quick, Nancy. We were experienced, and I'm sure a lot of you know about this as well, hay fire kind of close to the community monitors that we have. This hay fire was spontaneous combustion due to high moisture, and also the sunny temperatures that we get during the daytime caused a spontaneous combustion nearby your community. Because of the inversion layer, the spontaneous combustion, this hay fire that erupted on Monday night, Tuesday morning, with that inversion layer pushing down, we saw some of our air monitoring sites increase significantly. We immediately dug into the data, started looking at the instruments, making sure that there wasn't some malfunction, but it was contributed to this hay fire that is occurring pretty close to one of our air monitoring sites at the current, Mountain View Middle School. And this is just a quick map of showing the close proximity from that hay fire to the school. With a lot of stagnation, not a lot of wind blowing around. It's just kind of enveloping that whole area and affecting a lot of people, unfortunately. But that was something I wanted to highlight, that as soon as we see something, we're investigating it, looking into it. I know we did have our compliance staff down in the Bakersfield office respond to this fire. They've been working with the Farmer and Kern County Fire Department on trying to reduce the smoke being burnt or the smoke being produced, and trying to put this fire out as quick as possible. But I was outside of those conversations. I just get to see the monitors that start spiking. We're like, what's going on? Stephanie, did you want to jump in too? I'm going to stop my share and we can go back to the presentation.
Thanks, Brad. And I did just want to add that kind of related to what Brad's saying. You all probably did get an email from us when, episodes like this happen. We do want to make sure that the community is aware of these kind of smoke impacts, so you all know how and when to protect yourselves. So we hope that you got that notification. And to Brad's point, when episodes like this happen, there's a lot of coordination that happens between our agency, the fire department, and also if it is the case that it is at a certain location, we work with the owners and the operators there to make sure, like Brad said, that as soon as possible that it can be extinguished. And so at this point, I think from what we've understood, and our compliance team was out there today, pretty much most of the fire is out. I think there is a little bit of smoldering and smoke, but overall, I think they've tried to significantly kind of decrease those impacts, and we're seeing a lot of decreased smoke impacts in the community now. The monitors are we're not seeing as many, and Brad, feel free to add, but I think overall we're seeing the air quality kind of trend back to normal as compared to yesterday when we were seeing those impacts. So I just wanted to add that to Brad's update.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we keep an eye on too. During the afternoon when the sun is able to poke through the fog, it actually lifts that inversion layer up. we have more atmosphere to actually breathe, and things can start mixing a little bit better in the Central Valley. But overnight, that's when we're going to start seeing if it's still affecting the monitor. So we're still looking at that at the monitors throughout this whole area, actually, with a fine-tooth comb, making sure that if there's something that's happening, we're on top of it. And it's always a good practice too, is if you can smell it, it's not good to be outdoors. Try to get inside, try to limit your outdoor exposure. If you can smell it, you know that it's going to be present to where you're at, and to get indoors into some type of ventilated, filtered facility. And with this, I'm just going to hand it off real quick. I think someone from our OC, is it Danny? Or
Hey, Brad. Thanks, Brad.
Oh, perfect.
Good evening, everybody. This is Danny Gonzalez at the Outreach and Communications team, talking about with you guys a little bit about what are the communication efforts and how exactly do we communicate to the public when we do have air quality events that are impacting, particularly in your area. So when air quality events do happen, like wildfire smoke, agricultural fires, windblown dust, or any other type of weather impacts that may trap air pollution, the district follows established protocols to help keep the public informed. Our goal is to share timely, accurate, and health-based information so that residents know what is happening and how to protect their health. So before we even get to the public information to your hands, we really do continuously monitor air quality through our, like Brad discussed, and Alejandro, regulatory air monitoring stations, community air monitoring sites, and temporary or specific event monitors. But when elevated pollution levels are detected or anticipated, this triggers actions on our staff's behalf to assess the potential for public health impacts. At this point, then, the district then evaluates the severity of air quality levels using health-based standards, whether the impacts are localized or regional, the expected duration of the event, populations more at risk, obviously those that are health prone, such as respiratory or heart conditions. And at this point, once we've gathered all this information, our team is then gathering this information and putting it into social media posts, different channels that we utilize to inform and educate the public. It could vary depending on the severity of the situation. Sometimes it's an air quality or smoke advisory, which those are then posted through press releases, news releases to the media, both in English and Spanish, and posted on our website. And then redirecting our online community, our followers through different websites such as valleyair.org, protect yourself, or valleyair.org/protect wildfires. Again, educating the public, making sure they know how to handle, how to respond in those situations. And along with those
Danny?
are continuously, yes?
So sorry to interrupt. Could you slow down a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much.
So with those are continuously monitored posts that we are updating as necessary and infrequent to ensure that the public is gaining access to that information. Along with that, we also email, as Steph previously mentioned, specific communities that are directly impacted. As you saw yesterday, you might have received an email notifying you all of that hay fire that was happening within those local areas. And again, this is something that is ongoing, something that we continuously ensure that, again, we want to make sure that the information is within reach. Last but not least, we want to make sure that that information is consumed in the right way. So with that being said, we are always advocating for residents that are being impacted to stay indoors, keeping those windows and doors closed, limiting outdoor activities when possible, especially for those sensitive groups. Using air conditioning or air filtration if available, seeking clean air centers, particularly during high wildfire impacts or those special events, and then obviously checking real-time air quality data via the myran.com or airnow.gov website. And as Steph mentioned, this is something that our utmost protection of the public health is our foremost priority, which takes a lot of coordination. And so we want to make sure that we are protecting your health at the end of the day. And so making sure that we are providing you with timely, real data that informs you of what that air quality is within your community. So with that, I think I pass it on to Liz if there aren't any questions.
Thank you, Danny, and thank you, Brad and Alejandro, for the presentation. This is Liz. I did see that we had a couple of hands up that got put down, and it looks like a couple of questions are in the chat. I see Bianca's hand up, so we can go to Bianca first.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute. I do have a question in regards to the monitor updates. As I believe Brad was mentioning, or somebody that was mentioning on the days that these days that have been elevated. It's really funny how I've been tracking through the Valley app that in the Bakersfield area, the monitor is not picking up that high spike. But in the Arvin area, you were mentioning that it was the elementary school, the Lamont monitor was picking up the PM 2.5. But how about for the Arvin community? This is going to be the fourth day, I believe it's the fourth day of PM 2.5 elevation on 5. I only got I only got an update for one of the elevating days. Even last night at midnight, there was I'm trying to see how long it was, but it was quite a few hours of a very high elevation where nobody should be out. And I think those are the president's times that residents should know that nobody should even be out, and to take that precautionary step. Also, I wanted to inform that even ozone is picking up too, even though this is not an ozone time for elevation. Ozone is also contributing a lot of the bad air quality that is going on. So I think it's something outside of like the fire, but also the fog that is coming in, all the industries that are affecting it, all the pesticides, all the VOCs, everything is a conjunction of how bad air quality we have and what we have to deal with in a daily basis. So I think adding that into the mix, not just the fire, but also that we are very close from a freeway. There's a lot of VOCs, there's a lot of the refinery that is close by. We also have all the pesticides, all the air contaminants in that area. So we should really also emphasize that we do have a lot of industry in this area, and we should highlight that if we have very high elevations, we also should consider industries that have been affecting us and have not done their job.
I just wanted to make a note. If you are using the Valley Air app to look at the air quality, that is usually going to pull on the nearest monitor for our regulatory network. And I'm trying to look at it on my screen too. Sometimes it does, and it doesn't show it on my screen, so I can't really say that that's the fact. Are the monitors that we deployed for the Arvin and Lamont community for this AB 617 project do not report to that portal. You have to go onto your website where all those monitors are located at, and then you can select which monitor is closest to you. That would be representative of what closest to you will be. I think the monitor for Arvin is actually the Bakersfield, California monitor, which is located off of California Street in Bakersfield. So there may be a little bit of disconnect of what's going on in Bakersfield that may be affected by the fire versus the Arvin Lamont community. But we did see really high spikes at that Mountain View Middle School yesterday that were most likely impacted due to that hay fire that's occurring.
I actually have different locations. I'm looking at it. I have the Arvin, Lamont, Shafter, Bakersfield, and I'm right now currently in Delano. So it's giving me the 4 locations that I have registered. So I try to have them registered just to see which location, and usually I'll get notifications if the shafter is high elevations, and it's your app is there, so it
Like I
doesn't
said,
show me.
it's the monitors that we deployed, because they are technically portable, and if we need to move them, we can move them based off of community concerns. They don't report to that app. They only report to the community's web portal. So it's important that you are looking at the, if you are in Arvin, if you are in Lamont, look at, Nancy just put the link into the webpage or into the chat, that you're looking at that webpage, because that's going to be the closest monitor to actually where you're at. So if you know you live downtown Arvin and you're close to El Camino Real, I would highly suggest you look at the El Camino Real PM 2.5 monitor that's there. And vice versa, if you're closer to Lamont, look at the Mountain View Middle School location. Or if you're in, closer to somewhere else that we have a monitor at, just look at that monitor, and that's going to be the closest one.
Thank you, Brad. This is Liz, and just wanted to clarify, and Bianca, let me know if this is not what you were asking, but I think were you wondering if you could get notifications from those more community monitors when the PM 2.5 reaches those higher levels? Is that the question? And it sounds like, Brad, you're saying they don't provide notifications and you would have to go to the website to find what the levels are for those specific monitors. Is that right, or something different?
For the monitors that we have dedicated to this community, that is correct. They don't report to the app, so the automatic notifications that the app does would not be representative of the monitors that we deployed in this community. It's just two separate networks that we have. But that's why it's important that when we do see those things, we're sending out those messages like we did yesterday to the community, notifying you guys that, hey, there is something going on. These aren't abnormal readings. This is actually what's occurring in your area. And that's why we sent out those media messages via, I think it was an email that was sent out yesterday.
Thank you for that clarification, and let us know, Bianca, if you have any follow-up questions to that. We can go to, go ahead.
So whatever it's reading on the app, that means that it's completely different, because I'm actually trying to compare both of the readings, and on my app it's already on level 5 in certain locations. Even in the shafter location, it was on level 5. And I'm actually looking at the monitor and it's on level 2. So there's two different types of readings. So I want to make sure that they're all correlated. If not, what's the discrepancies between those two readings?
The difference is that the community monitors that we deployed are reporting to a completely separate system. The RAN network or the cell phone app that you are using is looking at the nearest regulatory air monitor to that location. So there could be a community monitor that's actually really close to where you're at, depending on where you live at in that community, versus the cell phone app is going to go to the nearest regulatory air monitor, which may be miles away from you.
Thank you, Brad. So it sounds like what you're looking at, Bianca, that's showing the higher levels in Shafter and Arvin and Lamont, those levels are probably coming from the regulatory monitor that is in Bakersfield.
I believe the monitor, if you are using the app and you're looking at Arvin, I think it goes to the Bakersfield, California site. And that's why we also use it as a metric in a lot of our charts that we share with this community, the comparison. But it's important for us to be utilizing the website for your community.
This is Stephanie. If I could also add a little bit of kind of context a little bit more widely, like Brad is saying, the real-time air, the RAN, basically the RAN app that we're kind of talking about now, this is like Brad was saying is kind of based on our regulatory network, and it's something that someone, anyone in the Valley can use. And it's kind of the system that we let folks know to kind of, receive notifications In addition to that, there are 4 communities that we have in the Valley, including Arvin, Lamont, that have this kind of enhanced community level monitoring. And this kind of community level monitoring that you're getting is, like Brad is saying, some of the locations are much closer to you. The system of kind of monitors that you all have is much, the monitors are much closer. And so that's why Brad is just encouraging you, in addition to RAN, which is a tool to you all, even kind of further than that, Arvin Lamont has this kind of access to this really hyper local community air monitoring data. So kind of one level even further from that, if you're close to one of those monitors, I definitely encourage you, we all do, kind of encourage you to also check in on those community monitors that also, you know, are able to display this kind of real-time data and may even be a little bit closer to you in the community.
I also wanted to add, I was looking at your map, the regulatory monitor, it's on Arvin DeGiorgio School, which is not that far away from the Arvin area. So some of the readings that the regulatory is already picking up, it's really fairly very close from the Arvin community, and the spikes are really high. So I want to make sure that if there's not a lot of you could say distance, why is there the reading is way off. So I just want to make sure that we have that very clear, that it's not the Bakersfield monitor, it's the DeGiorgio one. So residents could understand that the regulatory is on DeGiorgio and the monitor sites are in Arvin, and that's not very far away from it.
Thank you, Bianca. Really appreciate you asking these questions to get as much clarity as possible. This is definitely what this space is meant for. It sounds like maybe we can have some follow-up to confirm what exactly is going on with what you're seeing there.
Sorry, I just needed to double check CARB's website. The monitor that CARB runs in Arvin outside, nearby a school, I believe, that's only measuring ozone temperature and relative humidity. It does not represent PM 2.5. And a lot of our presentation was based off of PM 2.5. So that's why we never incorporated that site into any of the data.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, thank you. This is complicated stuff that we are talking about. So really welcome all of the questions, and there's no such thing as a dumb question, so keep them coming. We can go to Jesus next, and then we'll look at the questions that have come up in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a couple of questions here. The first question is, so it sounds like we have an ozone over here in DeGiorgio, an ozone monitor here in DeGiorgio, the PM monitor in Bakersfield, and that our community monitors are reading high levels of particulate matter. Does that mean that we need a particulate matter monitor co-located with our ozone monitor in order to better represent Arvin? If the Bakersfield monitors are not reading the same as our Arvin Lamont community monitors.
We actually have ozone monitors that we have deployed in your community. We just didn't highlight that in this presentation because obviously there's a short time. But all the data that we collect is posted onto your webpage. So you can select the Arvin CSD, I believe, has an ozone. I believe, Alejandro, correct me if I'm wrong, does Mountain View have an ozone? I don't know if that one does. That one may just have BTEX. But I believe we have an ozone monitor already dedicated to this community too. We have looked at that data as well. And we do push all of the data that we collect as a PDF file. So that way everyone can see where that's at, and you can actually see it on the webpage too. But regarding telling CARB what to do at their air monitoring site, that's something I don't have the pleasure or authority to do.
I hear you. No, I mean, like if we can make that suggestion, it sounds like the PM 2.5 monitors that we have in the community have been very valuable to assist community members. So having one from CARB would be would also be beneficial. But my other questions were because I'm trying to understand the whole inversion layer thing. Are we currently still in that inversion layer, ozone or zone, atmospheric?
Always in the inversion layer.
Okay.
We're all in the upside down if you watch Stranger Things. Yeah, especially it's something that happens every season with us throughout the Central Valley. Stockton experiences this as much as everyone else. So it's a full valley-wide occurrence. And you can see that on some of those satellite photos where you just look at the California and you just see a big gray area where the Central Valley's at. That's the inversion layer just pushing down on that high humidity area, highlighting the fog that we see every single morning, as well as a representative of that. That's just air not being able to be flushed out of our Central Valley, and it just kind of slowly builds up and builds up and builds up. Yeah, there we are. Yeah, that was the picture from satellite from November and December of 2025, and that's when we just started seeing PM 2.5 just slowly elevating every single day. It was great when the storms came through because the wind is actually what pushes a lot of the air out. But the stagnation occurring after the storms contributes to that inversion layer that's just pushing us down. Stagnation is just another fancy word of just air not mixing a lot.
Okay, so then so then what's being trapped here are the levels, the emissions that we're producing in our area.
Yeah, so like I said, it's kind of like a balloon. The more air you can blow into the balloon, the more air it increases and the bigger the balloon gets. This inversion layer is pushing it back down, so it's just a lot less air that we have. So if you put a couple of marbles inside that balloon and blow it all the way up, you can rattle it around and the marbles have areas to move. If you don't blow it up a lot and it's really small, the marbles are just hitting on each other. And that's kind of what we see with this inversion layer. It's just pushing down on us and we don't have a lot of mixing.
Okay, yeah, because I remember that I think Monday around 4:30, around 5 in the afternoon, there was a pillar of fire and smoke from the refinery. And would those emissions still be trapped here with us now?
Everything should be mixing and moving around us, but there's not a lot of pushing out of everything out of the Central Valley. So yeah.
Okay, and that could be the cause of the increased readings that we're seeing.
It contributes. The inversion layer contributes to a lot of it. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is Liz. Thank you for the questions, Jesus. And I see we have a hand up from a CARB representative. Go ahead.
Hey, Fang.
Hey, Brad. Hey, good evening, everyone. I just want to introduce myself. My name's Fang. I work for CARB. I'm taking over James Phan's role as the monitor liaison. So I want to address Jesus, is it? Jesus' question about adding an ozone monitor, or is it a PM monitor to the Del Giorgio site? If that's the case, you could do a formal request. There's no harm, no foul in doing that. Shoot me the email. I'll provide my email in the chat, and then that way I could forward to appropriate staff or the appropriate branch, because we have different branches for community work and different branches for regulatory monitoring. So I'll do that for you, Jesus. If you just shoot me I'll provide you the email in the chat, and you can shoot me a kind of like a formal email request that way. That way I could shoot up the proper chain, and hopefully we'll get you guys what you want.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Would we be able to also submit it as a CSC if the CSC is interested in having a PM 2.5 monitor there as well? Would the CSC be able to make that request?
I think with more support, you have a stronger voice. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. So just like I said, I'll provide you the email, and then you could just shoot a letter, even better, and rather than just an email, a letter, a formal email a letter where the CSCs kind of like collaboratively say, hey, we need this 2.5 at this place for our community. And then that way I could shoot to the appropriate management team.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Then I would like to request for us to put it on our action tracker. So it's something that the CSC can make a decision on. And
yeah, because
submit it.
I think the best way would be the continuous 2.5 BAM. I mean, we already have those units and available for operation. We're trying to move away from the filter base because that requires lab support. And the data is not real time, so it won't do you guys any good. So I will, once I receive the letter, I'll kind of shoot up the chain of command, and then in the letter, I would suggest that you request a continuous monitor. That way, you get more real-time data. Just something to for you to consider.
Oh, thank you. Oh, for sure. Well, and I think if we're able to talk about it as a CSC, I'm sure we'll probably go in that direction. Well, I don't want to speak for the CSC, but I like that idea. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is Liz. Thank you so much, Fang, for introducing yourself and making yourself available and helpful in that way to respond to some of the concerns that you're hearing tonight. And yes, we will definitely add that to our action item tracker. For the sake of time, we will wrap up this agenda item and transition on to our SERP implementation updates item, where we'll be specifically talking about the urban greening and vegetative barriers as a continuation of our December conversation. So I will pass it to Stephanie to get us started.
Thank you, Liz, and huge thanks, Brad and Alejandro, for all the information and for answering questions. They're always your resource. If you ever have any question in between updates, they're your people to reach out to. And I want to thank everyone for all the great questions. So I have a presentation, and then I'm not going to present for too long because we actually have some other folks that want to present some exciting updates to the CSC. And so I just have a few slides to get through. The first is we just want to kind of summarize. I know that most folks were at the in-person meeting, but again, we just wanted to thank everyone for coming out in December. We had some really great topics we had 2 different stations to talk about vegetative barriers and urban greening. And I know that there were some people that maybe weren't able to join, so we just did want to bring a summary of kind of what we talked about in the meeting, what was decided, just so we're kind of all on the same page before we kind of move on to some great updates. For the vegetative barrier station, we did hear loud and clear that the CSC did not want to move forward with the submitted proposal that came in from Hyphy. And we heard lots of support for reopening the request for proposal and some new additions for some folks to reach out to. And so that's definitely something that we heard loud and clear out of that vegetative barrier station. On the urban greening side, we talked about what the process is and what it will look like to release a request for proposal for urban greening. There were lots of great questions about kind of what's required related to maintenance, who's eligible to apply, what the grantee would be, how we would hold them accountable for doing their work. And then we also got lots of great suggestions for where folks want to see planting locations, which we'll talk about a little bit more in the rest of the slides. Just to give folks a reminder of kind of what the vegetative barriers measure is, these are kind of a much more strategic type of planting of vegetation. It could include things like trees, bushes, shrubs, or even a mix of these. And these are actually some pictures of barriers. The first picture you see is actually from the vegetative barrier that was planted in Shafter, which is kind of a strategic row of oleanders that were planted. And just as a reminder, we do have $500,000 available for this measure. Again, we heard loud and clear that the CSC didn't want to move forward with the Hyphy one. And so what that means for us is that we need to continue to do outreach to find other folks that are interested in applying. Kind of prior to even the meeting we had in December, we reached out to about 13 contacts that you all had given us in the past. You all have continued kind of throughout this process to give us information. We've also done our own research of kind of agencies and who we think could apply. Between that, we reached out to about 13 people, which now that we'll reopen the proposal, we will plan to reach back out to those people to let them know. Again, like I said, sometimes staff changes, sometimes agency kind of decisions and priorities change. So we do plan on reaching out to those folks. And then in addition, connecting with kind of we're working on reaching out to 6 new individuals that you all gave us feedback for at the last in-person meeting. We kind of have developed a strategy of how we want to reach out, which includes we definitely want to reach out via phone. We also want to reach out via mail and kind of share information, email, all of those strategies we'll kind of pursue in trying to connect with individuals to be able to apply for this. Once we've kind of dug into this outreach and feel like there's a good, mass of people that are aware that this proposal and funding is available, we do want to reopen the proposal so that people can apply to it, which will likely happen in the next, few months in the spring. On the urban greening side, as a reminder, very similarly, we do have $500,000 available for projects for urban greening. These are kind of a different kind of style of planting. These are more typical kind of trees that you'll see on kind of in community spaces, things like sidewalks, streets and parks to improve air quality and just enhance kind of the beautification of the community. These are some examples of some trees that have been planted in other communities. In between kind of the in-person meeting that we had in December and even kind of prior to that, we have a whole list of kind of individuals that we're still kind of working through that includes schools. I know that there's some listed here, and then Bianca, I know you just verified a couple that you really want us to make sure. We checked our social pinpoint map, and those definitely Vinland and Sunset are on there too. And then also some community parks, and so some agencies to reach out on that side as well. During the CSC meeting, there were some questions about what's eligible. And actually, we had Sarah answer already one great question that Gustavo had about community gardens. And so I just wanted to clarify some of the types of trees that we are looking towards we definitely want to be thinking, we don't require them to plant definitely like a specific kind of tree, but we do have guidelines that we give of the kinds of tree that we want planted. We want them to be non-invasive. We don't want them to take over the environment that they're planted in. That's what that means. We don't want them to be poisonous because oftentimes these are, planted in places like parks where there could be, people and kids. We want them to be safe for roadways, effective in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, low in kind of their ability to produce VOC emissions. And then, of course, kind of this is, again, more of a community benefit is we don't want them to be, releasing a ton of pollen in the community too. So those are things that we are kind of looking for in the selection of the trees. And then we also have a handful of other things to consider, things like the impacts during different seasons, whether or not, they're creating the, different types of emissions, because it is possible that some plants release emissions into the atmosphere, and that's something we want to avoid. And we want to make sure that also they're kind of resistant to any kind of stresses and pollution, because we want these types of plants to be, once they're planted, we want them to live and stay in the community for a really long time. And so I just want to talk a little bit about outreach efforts on the urban greening side. We have been working with the city of Arvin, which you'll hear from a little bit today, Committee for a Better Arvin, and also our co-leads to share information about this specific program. We've already reached out to Kern County and Caltrans, but I do think to some of the comments that were made earlier, it's definitely worth us reaching out to lots of folks just to make sure things haven't changed in regards to their interest in applying. And then also working to kind of share information with different school districts too. And then just some kind of, just to give everyone on the committee just a sense of kind of where we're headed with this is and we're kind of actively in this stage right now, and you all have been great in assisting, is doing outreach in the community about this proposal. We want to make sure there's lots of awareness for this funding, lots of awareness so people know that the application is going to open soon. And then we will plan to release the RFP hopefully sometime in February. And then once that request for proposal closes, we will go through a whole process to kind of vet all of the applications, review, make sure they kind of qualify. And then after that, we'll bring updates to the CSC. I did, again, like I said, the presentation I had wasn't too long because I do want to save really the majority of the time to pass over to the city of Arvin. We have been working with them on doing outreach, and like I said, we will go through a whole request for proposal process. But really early on, they've kind of expressed they want to work with the community, and so they have some ideas that they wanted to share about where they could potentially look to take this proposal. So at this time, I wanted to pass over to the city of Arvin, and I do believe I'm going to pass over to Pedro.
Good evening, everybody. Hope you are doing well.
And I think Nancy on our side is going to go ahead and share your slide deck as well, Pedro.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right. First of all, I want to start off by saying it's an honor for me to be here. It's what you guys are going to offer for our community. It's something we have to do, and I truly appreciate it if we were able to get this grant. Can we? My name is Pedro Barraza. I am the public works supervisor for the city of Arvin. Can we hit the next slide, please? I provided two maps on the presentation here. The first map that's on your left has all the water lines that run through the city. That's all the water lines that pertain to ACSD, which is Arvin Community Services District. And the one on the right has a boundaries for the city of Arvin, and that's where we provide our services. And at the same time, it's pointed out where all the water wells the ACSD has to serve the community. Do you want me to do questions toward the end or as I per slide?
I think we can save questions until the end.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate that. Okay, next slide, please. So in today's agenda, we about 2 weeks ago we got with the community regarding community for a better Arvin, and they introduced to me this grant, and we brought up locations, right? Or locations where we sorry about that. We talked about locations, right? One of the locations was at the parks. So the city of Arvin has 5 parks. If you mind going to the next slide, please. So we have 5 parks. We have Gitz Park, which is Garden in the Sun. If you were to Google it, they call it Las Palmas Park, Smotherman, Di Giorgio, Felicita, and Kavakovich Park. And we have identified areas inside the parks where we could potentially plant trees, but at the same time, we are working among in-house. We're gonna commence a project hopefully next week to install new picnic areas, and we thought about how much benefit would it be if we were to plant a tree and set up a picnic area where families could go and gather at the parks, have a table there, and at the same time, if they wanted to do a barbecue, they were going to have that barbecue there, a new barbecue grill. So those are the places where we thought about the parks. And next slide, please. Facilities. Currently, we have 5 facilities in the city of Arvin. There are right there, which are City Hall, the Police Department, Planning, and Transportation. Those 4 are connected with each other. They're on campus, 4th, and Plumtree. The Veterans Hall and the Adobe Complex, they're connected as well together. North Alcala, 4th, and 8th Street. The only one that's by itself is the community center, which folks used to know it as the senior center, and that's 800 Walnut. And we also have pinpointed some areas where we could plant trees in those facilities, and the public will benefit as well. Next slide, please. Is that the last slide? Yeah. Okay. See, I kept it short and simple. At this point, I'll take any questions, comments, or concerns. Like I said, it's an honor for me to be here, and I hope we're able to achieve. And when we do apply for this grant.
This is Stephanie. Nancy, can you go back maybe 2 slides? Is there anything else you want to go over? I know you. Oh, one.
Yeah. I left the LLMDs, which is the Light Landscape Maintenance District.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Nancy.
Yeah. So we the light and landscape, those are the areas that run parallel to residential homes. We have some on Comanche, Varsity, Sycamore, El Tejon, Derby, and those we identify certain areas there because we do have water that can irrigate the trees, and some of those areas were nominated because homes are next to them, so potential people that live there will get shade in back of their yard or on the side of their yard. But not only that, when the community walks around the city, when members of the community walk, right now they have no place to stop and hang out, either to answer the phone or to catch a breather, because there isn't really an opportunity for them to catch a breath because there's no shade right now. The unfortunate part, we had that contracted out, but the blessing of it now, it's the city has taken over, and then we're gonna be able to put love into it. We're gonna be able to plant into those LLMDs and give a uplift to the community in those areas. And the last one, it's right of ways. What I meant by right of ways was city streets. I know a few years back, the city had applied for a grant with Cal Fires, and they had gone door to door and expressed to the community if they were interested. It wasn't a popular hit, but now that we've been working closer with the community, I know there's some areas that folks are eager to get a tree planted in front of their home, and they have already stated that they would help us and assist in either watering it or taking care of them. I think that's all the areas that we have already been working with the community and talking where would it be beneficial to plant trees. So at this moment, I would take questions, comments, or questions.
Thank you, Pedro. Go ahead, Bianca.
I wanted to appreciate Pedro's work in making this feasible. I know that it takes it takes a lot of work, especially with the city taking the lead of doing this work. I know the city of Arvin, with the help of others, have made it possible for this process to go faster, and to appreciate that piece. So, thank you, Pedro, for coming out and explaining all the good background information on all the amazing work that you've done, and also acknowledging that you've been working directly with community members, and emphasizing that you are there for the community, and community's input is a big background to the work that you've done. So thank you.
Yeah, no, like I said, like we are public servants, and we're actually here to serve the community, and we want the folks to know that. We want them for this grant, we want them to be heard. We would like for them to come out and express like, hey, I would want a tree here. I would want the city to work on this, and that's what we're here for. That's why I'm super eager to be working with the community, and at the same time, gonna be looking forward when the RFP comes out to apply for this grant.
Thank you. And I know we have a hand up from Gustavo, but I see also Stephanie. Okay, so we can go to the question first. Go ahead, Gustavo.
Yeah, yes, piggyback on Bianca's comments.
I think, I'm personally pleased that the city of Arvin is being proactive, and I think as we saw, I think they did their homework, at least the initial homework. To me, in comparison with the last applicant that was out of the area, now having the city willing to partner, I think to me that makes sense, because that's from as Pedro mentioned, they are serving their community, and I think they are very well positioned to capitalize as the best way possible on this funding. I think for me, I think maybe and also mention to Stephanie that she presented to the city in one of the community meetings. Thank you, Stephanie, for doing that. I think was very, very good to have you there, directly explaining the system and everything. So we really appreciate that. But I think moving forward, I don't know if it's a question or comment. I think the good thing is, that I think now we have an applicant that I personally will support. Their application, obviously, good application. But the other question is, how can we balance, the available funding with the Arvin, and potentially I heard, earlier I heard that maybe the the other areas near Lamont, Fuller Acres, and also the Lamont Park. How can we try to be fair with most of the areas of the boundaries? And just to mention also, if we can engage the county in applying for the Lamont Park, I think that will be good, like ensuring that we kind of distribute the funding, in the best way possible. And just to mention about Alonso's comment, yes, the county got a grant to improve the Lamont Park, but they secured it like 4 or 5 years ago, and we were engaged. The community was engaged. Comité Progreso was engaged. CRP also was directly engaged. But what we were told recently is that because of all these years waiting to build it, the amount of money that they have is no longer able to cover all the initial approved improvements to the park. And I think if the county is willing to apply for trees, and obviously, as Alonso mentioned, we keep the county accountable, but I think if they got some of this funding for trees, that may allow the county to include some of the things that I think they are not planning to include because of it's more expensive to build now than 5 years ago. So just wanted to mention that I think for the community of Lamont, if the county apply for it, I will encourage folks to support that application also, because there is not enough money to do all the improvements that the community asks on Lamont Park.
Yeah, totally, sir. I know. I can speak on the city's behalf, right? Saying that we are gonna move forward, and hopefully we get this grant. But on the county, most definitely, there are neighbors. Lamont. It's a few miles up north from us, and it would be beneficial for them as well, to plant trees around their communities, because I know, like, their Main Street 184 that does lack a little vegetation for the residents to have. So it would be beneficial for the community as well, and the county to apply for it.
And just to mention also, thank you, Pedro. And just to mention, I think for the rest of our, steering committee members, to share with all of you, I think it was mentioned maybe before, but what the city of Shafter did, they apply for the urban greening and the steering committee approved their application. And although the city didn't have all the sites where they were going to put the trees yet, but the city agreed to work with the community and get community's input to where the community wanted to see trees. So even that it was not totally final, the committee went and approved, the city's application. That may be the route that city of Arvin and the steering committee may go, maybe in the near future when the city applies, maybe just consider, depending on the funding, approving their application. And the city, I think Pedro already expressed that they want to work with the community, which will be great, where the community wants to see trees throughout their community.
Yes, sir. Most definitely. Just to echo of what we said earlier, right? We're here for the community, and we are going to hear the community. This is going to be a project that I think everybody is going to benefit from, and I hope we could get everybody involved in the community, not only for planting the trees, but as well as helping us maintain. I know this program we're going to have to be engaged for 10 years, so it's a long commitment. It's a long commitment. It's going to be about 3 years for us to finalize it, but at the same time, the maintenance of it's going to take 10 years. And during those 10 years, we are going to develop a game plan, right? It's going to be a seasonal plan for the community, either for us as public work employees to feed the trees, to water the trees, to prune the trees, to take care of the trees. But we also want that engagement of the community, so they could show and support us as staff members, and at the same time add the beauty to their community. I'll take I don't know how to answer a hand, so if you guys would assist me with that, I would.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gustavo, anything else you wanted to say, or I
Let
don't.
us know, Gustavo, if you
No.
have any follow-up.
Yeah, no, I think just I think my understanding is that the district is going to open for applications. Pedro, I think when the district do that, I believe the district will outreach to you, so you can start working with the district, and any support that you may need from us that we may be able to support. Just let us know.
Will do, sir. I truly appreciate it. It's a partnership that I'm happy to. It's going to be a great partnership.
Thank you. And I do see quite a few hands are up. And just before we lose this thread, I'm wondering if it makes sense with what you're saying, Gustavo, about considering the community outside of Arvin, if we could have an action item to have the Air District work with the county and Parks and Recs on that piece. Does that sound good? Okay. And go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, perfect. This is Stephanie. Thanks, Liz. That's exactly what I wanted to say. I also wanted to thank Gustavo for the comment and just kind of his shared experience from what happened in Shafter. And I'll also just say, for this RFP, we do need to see a budget and want to have an understanding of how the funds are being spent so that we can make sure they're being spent responsibly. But I will just kind of lift up what Gustavo said, that locations are great for us to, there should be like probably some proposed ones, but I just want to also say and kind of share the same thing as Gustavo that sometimes things change and we understand that. And so they don't have to be set in stone, and we definitely expect and want the collaboration with the CSC, which we of course are hearing the willingness from Pedro. And so that's not something that we absolutely need to have 100% figured out. And that's something we will commit to continuing to work with you all to kind of fine tune whoever may, get the RFP. And then like Liz said, I just wanted to kind of commit to reaching out to the county, specifically the Parks and Rec department, just so that we can make sure that there's awareness and see if there's interest there.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I do see that we have quite a few hands up, and I know we have a couple updates, both from Kern Energy, and also the Air District and some other agencies. Maybe we can take just one last comment or question from Maria. I see you are the next in line, before we wrap up this agenda item. And all other comments that folks don't get to share, we'll talk about ways that you can share that feedback after this meeting.
Sí. Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Pues yo solamente quiero darle las gracias a Pedro, que en verdad tuvo muy poco tiempo para organizarse y para presentar lo que presentó, pero me da gusto porque ahorita ya vamos a estar en contacto con la ciudad de Arvin, vamos a poder localizar los lugares donde vamos a querer los árboles y eso para mí es algo muy importante, ya que hemos estado bastante tiempo viendo todo esto y me da mucho gusto que en tan poco tiempo nos estemos organizando también con la ciudad de Arvin, con Pedro de Obras Públicas y yo creo que para ahora que presente su proyecto en la próxima junta, ya vamos a tener más los lugares donde queremos. Lo que él presentó estuvo muy bien en las escuelas, en lugares específicos, en los parques también. Entonces, para mí eso me da mucho gusto, mucho gusto el tener esa comunicación ya con la ciudad de Arvin y vamos a seguir platicando con ellos y buscando las áreas donde más necesitemos esos árboles. Gracias a ustedes y gracias a Pedro por su presentación.
Muchas gracias a ustedes. Como les dije, estamos aquí para servir a ustedes y creo que va a ser un buen beneficio para la ciudad para que apliquemos para a esta beca.
No se escucha en español.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? I was trying to answer to her in Spanish and I'm not sure if I was not going through.
Yeah, hi Pedro, this is Amy. When you're in the English channel, the Spanish community is hearing the simultaneous translation, so there's nothing to translate. So if you want to repeat it in English, that would be great.
Oh yeah, so I was telling her, I truly appreciate it, Miss Maria. Like I said, it's gonna be a great partnership that we're gonna do. I didn't get too much in depth in regards to my department. Just to give you a brief background, right now we are 10 strong employees, including myself, we're 11. So we do have the staff, the capability to go out there and proceed for this grant because we do have the personnel to take care of the trees and to properly maintain other areas of the city that we're responsible to do so.
Thank you so much, Pedro. And I know I just mentioned that we were going to wrap up after that last comment, but I think we're going to shorten our updates for tonight, so we can make sure to get through these last three hands that are raised. So we can go to Deanna next.
Sí, buenas tardes. Bueno, lo mío va a ser bien rapidito, nada más es para, como Gustavo mencionó, que tengo el contacto con la persona del condado de Parques y Recreación. Yo le voy a hacer mandar el mensaje a la persona, voy a incluir a Stephanie, también para que estén con el contacto. Y como dice Gustavo, sí, el condado ha hecho cortes en el parque porque desafortunadamente ya se tardaron mucho en hacer este proyecto y tuvieron que remover algo muy importante que los jóvenes habían pedido en ese parque por falta de los ingresos, porque todo está haciendo más. En el último reporte que nos dieron ya van ellos minus 2 millions. Entonces ya creo que este proyecto les ayudaría a ellos en algo para que ya no nos remuevan más de lo que la comunidad pidió que se hiciera en este parque. Pero yo les mando la información, yo pongo el email a Stephanie con el contacto de la persona del parque y ojalá que también podamos hacer ese proyecto en los parques de aquí de Lamont, que incluye todos los parques, no nada más Lamont, el de Lamont.
Thank you. Thank you, Deanna. Really appreciate hearing all of the ways that folks are thinking about this and sharing their excitement. And we can go to Mario next.
Yeah, my question is for current energy. I wonder if they'll start putting trees right there next to where the refineries at to maybe to help out all the smoke or whatever it is, because the trees will catch the smoke and all that. They if this program could help them out, put trees.
Thank you, Mario. So it sounds like you're wondering if, and maybe, I know we have some folks from Current Energy here, but maybe the Air District after this meeting could do some outreach with Current Energy to see what their interest would be to take some of that, to apply for the RFP and do some of the vegetative barrier planting.
Yeah. Two, I was maybe ask Current Energy if we could have a meeting together. I would like to have a meeting with them to get a better understanding, but on that program they want to do or fix the energy something. I want to have a better idea, more about. I want to learn more about it. I just want to know if they had time, maybe educate me a little bit, about what is the plan for that energy, hybrid, high. What do you say the gas is? Hybrid or high?
The hydrogen
Yeah,
fuel cells.
Yeah. I would
Yeah,
like to
so it
learn a
sounds
little bit
like
more, and especially maybe they could teach us a little bit more about it, about how that thing works and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it sounds like the second question you have, you're wanting to learn more about the proposed hydrogen fuel cell project that Kern Energy had a recent meeting about. And maybe that's something we can talk about in our agenda setting meeting, whether that could be something that happens in this meeting space or if that's something they connect with you offline about to make sure that you have the information.
Yeah, because
So we can have this as action items.
it will benefit us, like that we could get a better education on how it's working and all that. And maybe, because a lot of people, they're afraid of it. Maybe it's something simple, maybe it's something hard, or I really don't know because I'm not very educated on that part. But I would love to learn. Maybe we could educate the people who lives nearby. It's not that harmful, or if it is, what could we do to help out to make it work?
Yeah, for sure. We'll add that to our action item tracker and have some follow-up on that for sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mario. And just to move us along, I thought I saw a hand from Olivia, and I'm not sure if she is still in the meeting. I'll just quickly check, but I think she signed out, and that's okay. So I think we can maybe officially close out the SERP implementation update item for tonight. And again, thank you to Pedro and the city of Arvin for coming to this meeting and sharing your excitement and hearing some feedback from the community. I know everyone really appreciates it. Thank
Well,
you.
I appreciate the space you guys allowed us to be part of this meeting. If anybody wants to get in contact with me, I will be able to provide my business card for those that do want to hear more of what we have planned for our community.
Thank you so much. And we can move to our standing updates. Oh, did you have something to add, Stephanie? Go ahead.
This is Stephanie. I just have one quick thing. Pedro right now has the social pinpoint map that has all of the locations you all have recommended for urban greening. So I think after the meeting, Nancy can resend it just in case anyone has any remaining locations. And then, any applicant to the urban greening proposal will have those locations that you all have recommended so they can reference. So we'll send it out following this meeting. Thanks, Liz.
Sounds good. Thank you, Stephanie. And just before we transition, I do see a comment in the chat that Olivia sent, the mayor of Arvin, that I will read out loud. Great presentation, Pedro. Thank you to everyone for your support. We are committed to working in partnership with our beloved community to achieve great things. Really appreciate Olivia joining us tonight as well. So thank you, everybody. We can move to our abbreviated standing updates for tonight. And our first on the list will be Kern Energy. And I believe we have Gabe here to provide a brief update.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabe Castro with Kern Energy. I'd like to thank the 617 community for allowing us to provide an update tonight. We understand that we operate at the grace of the community, and we will continue to be present and provide updates. I would like to thank everyone for their comments and concerns that were raised during the public hearing about our fuel cell electricity generation project. I want you to know that we take each of them seriously and value feedback as we strive for continuous improvement. The update that I'd really like to focus on bringing you guys tonight was about a false benzene alert that happened on January 14th. The Kern Energy sent an email out on January 15th as a follow-up to the air quality notification that was sent on January 14th at around 2:05 p.m., which was sent in an error. There were no exceedances of the RELs for any of the measured compounds from the Kern Energy fence line monitoring system. Kern Energy did immediately deploy resources to validate the real-time information reported by the system and determined that the reported result was an issue with the instrument's software. A review of the system data confirmed that all compounds were always below their associated thresholds. We appreciate your patience, and we work to resolve the issue and apologize for any inconvenience that it may have caused.
Thank you for the update, Gabe. And I see just one hand up from Cesar. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the update. I do notice that it's an update about a false positive, about giving us an update about a rating that was more of a sensor issue. But I would like these updates when there is an issue and the community needs notification and needs an update. One example of that is Kern Energy submitted an OES report about a spill of diesel onto their facility. And I have not heard about that in this committee. So if they could give us an update about the remediation for the spilled diesel that was submitted through the OES, I would love those kind of updates.
I think we could take that question back as an action item. I don't have the specific details around that event with me right now, but we can definitely work with the district to provide an update at a later date.
Thank you. On Monday, it was also reported that there was black smoke coming from the flare. And Jesus Alonso, who's a community member and also a CSC member, mentioned it earlier in the meeting. So I would also like an update as to why there was black smoke coming out of the flare on Monday of this week.
I can't comment specifically on that event. I was not aware of it. Normally, the Air District contacts us when we receive community concerns like that. So maybe you can have the district inspector reach back out to us with the specifics.
I would like for the community to hear about it. So rather than just me getting the update, I would like for the committee to get an update. Much like they're getting an update about the false positive you got, I would like for them to get an update on the very real black smoke that happened this Monday and what the remediation of it was, the assumed SOx that came out of it. And hopefully you can give us that information so we don't have to do several public records requests to get that. And we could just have a transparent relationship where you can share that next time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for raising those questions and appreciate Gabe you joining tonight. And we do understand that, you don't always have the answers ready in the moment. So we'll definitely add this to the tracker and work with you to have some follow-up for the community. I don't see any other hands raised or questions in the chat. So I think we can move to our last update that will be shared verbally. And I would like to invite DPR to share any updates if you have them.
Thank you very much. I know we are 1 minute over time. There were 2 action items from DPR that I want to kind of respond to it and close the loop. I know that Mario has been waiting for a very long time. So thank you, Mario, for your patience. There were 2 action items. One, Mario was asking about like laws and regulations for like transport of pesticides from like one field to another. For the sake of time, I'm going to copy and paste what we have in the chat. So basically, people can read through all the laws and regulations that are around the pesticide transportations. And another thing is Mario was asking about the canal, and I was Cesar was also reaching out about the canal and swimming in the canal. And I have Brandy here. I don't know if Brandy is still on the call with us or not. There are there there needs to be like a kind of 5 minute explanation of what it means, why there is no signage and all of that. One thing I can add, just a general thing, that swimming in the canal is illegal. So that's just the bottom line. No one can swim in the canal. No one can like boat in the canal. And there should not be any runoff of any kind, including pesticide, to the canal. Brandy, if you are on the call, I can
Yes.
call you to come. There you go.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Hi,
Thank
good
you.
evening, everyone. Yeah, of course. So Mazier did reach out to me on this, and
Brandy, if I may introduce you, I know that some people may not know you. Brandy is our program manager for the enforcement in the Central Valley area. So she is based in Fresno, in a similar area, or at least closer to what we are from Sacramento. And that's why I asked Brandy if she could come in tonight and explain all of those in detail. I know, again, we are over time, but I know that Mario has been waiting for a very long time. So thank you for Brandy for being here. Floor is
of
yours.
course, thank you, Mazier. And I know it looks like someone has their hand up in here too, so I'm not sure if I should wait. But I can definitely send the group, information that that I just recently sent to Mazier and the rest of our EM team. So did you guys want that whoever has their hand up to go first, or sorry?
Mario, I know you were the one with the question, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, my understanding is there's a law for them to put a sign, especially when they're using pesticides or chemicals. By law, they have to have them wherever they're at. They could be, if they have them right there, storage in next to the canal, they have to have signage. And
So it all depends.
People swims in these canals. I seen them fishing. I got pictures. I've already sent pictures and all that.
Yeah.
I just do not understand how there's nothing that you guys cannot do.
So we regulate pesticide use. There shouldn't be any pesticide use in canals. If there is, that's when the State Water Resources Control Board gets involved, and it goes all the way down to the local water district. So we definitely, when it comes to pesticide use, it's all dependent upon the label if posting is required. So there's always notification that's required if someone's going to be, within a quarter mile, or there's going to be field workers. But when it comes to canals, those are not owned by the property operator. Those canals are actually, and I can send you all the actual code for water districts. Those canals are all maintained and run by the local water districts. And the specific area that you had mentioned to the group earlier, I think it was this past fall, is actually dealing with a specific water district. So I can definitely send you that information, but it's under the water code for all of our water districts. It's Division 13 of the California Water Code. And within that code, it actually allows them to have the power to keep people out of canals. So they are the ones. So if there's concern, which I mean, I remember this back in the 80s when I was a kid, people swimming in canals, and the water districts were the ones that were required to put signage out if there were issues. So
well, now there is issues. There's issues.
Right.
But the only problem is that nobody's, really pushing the issue to put signs.
Well, I think it's because the specific water district needs to be contacted, and that's Kern Delta Water District.
Well, there's too many. See, that's the problem that we are having, because we have too many agencies that they one saying one thing and another one saying another thing, and I feel that's the problem, and it frustrates me because you know what? It's ridiculous that you guys cannot work together to fix up the problem. It's very easy. It's very
I don't
easy
mind.
just to put
I don't mind
signs on there.
contacting. I don't have a problem at all, Mario, with contacting them. It's just I'm just saying that it's outside of our jurisdiction and and Kern County Ag Commissioner's jurisdiction to post. But we could definitely reach out to them and put you in contact with them so that they can. I mean, because that's part of their.
I already deal with the water district. I already deal with the state water district. It's just ridiculous that it's something very simple. Figure out a way. Make them put signs, and they put pesticides in the canals. I mean, if you spray for, say, mosquitoes, that's pesticide.
That's for larvicides and adulticides, though, which are meant.
But it's pesticide. But it's a pesticide. People swim in these canals. People are eating fish out of these canals. That's my problem.
Well, I'm not sure would you like me to contact the water district to see what they can do?
I already talked to them for the past 5 years. I already talked to the water district. I already talked to the state water district, the board. And the only thing they're doing is just give me the runaround. I'll tell you that straight out. They just give me the runaround. Because you know why? Because they got so many agencies that they could put the finger on. Yeah. And see, that's
Mario, this is Amy. Hi, Mario. This is Amy. You're not wrong, right? I mean, what you're talking about is interagency collaboration, and we know that the system for many agencies is broken. And one of the reasons why AB 617 has been very effective in communities is precisely for this reason. Why, we're privileged to have multiple agencies in this meeting right now, where true collaboration can start to happen. So what I'd like to do, Mario, is let's provide a new opportunity. Brandy from DPR is offering a new opportunity. And thank you for being here and making that connection. And so we know we can't give up. So I'll put it as an action item so that we can follow up not only with you, Mario, but with the community, and have Brandy and her team figure out who the right person is to talk to so that we can continue to bring these same issues to the water district and expect a different result. This is a new approach to a strategy that you may have used, but now with new agencies at the table. So we are over time, Mario, so I want to be respectful of everyone.
You know what? I appreciate it. I thank you, stepping in. I totally understand. It's kind of frustrating that it's something very simple to fix.
Right. I hear you. I feel your pain.
And it's just, it's more frustrating, go and talk to this agency. Oh, talk to this agency. It's a joke. It's a joke because people are getting sick. People are dying. If that don't mean nothing to you guys, and then
Mario, if I may step in, we have been working together for a very long time. It has been like several years. So basically we always get your questions and we come back with whatever that we could possibly do for this one. Just kind of repeating what Brandy mentioned is that No, we are not telling you to go and talk to any agencies. Brandy is offering that she could reach out and get to the right person in terms of, get those information. And the next time we are here, we can provide those information that we talk to these specific agencies. These are the responses, and basically this is what the next step that can be done. In terms of the signage, we are an state agency, so we can't go over someone else's jurisdiction and put a signage that basically put the state in like a contradiction with each other. So that's what Brandy is trying to explain, that she is willing to reach out and kind of make that connection to see what we can do next.
No, I totally understand what you're saying, sir. But the thing is, it's like I'm saying, when we talk about something, we are here to try to fix up the problem, to
Right,
help
Mario,
each other.
And
to help each other.
that's what I'm saying. So we need to give it an opportunity to fail as well as to succeed. So right now, what we're going to do is make this an action item. So in the next month, we'll follow up, or within the next month, follow up directly with Brandy and Mazar's team to have that introduction with the Air District and the Water District and see what can happen. And yes, it might fail, it might be successful.
And then we hold hands.
And we won't hold hands, but that's when you can start to, that hasn't worked. So what is the next solution? It will be the next question. And so can we know what canal we are speaking about?
There's many canals. Okay, because I'm all over the place here in Lamont, Bakersfield, Arvin, Lamont,
right?
All the fields. I know where all the sewer plant, for in the freeway. You got homeless
well, that's
people.
not descriptive
You got homeless
enough.
people at that sewer plant.
Right. So Mario, I would like to propose, because it's 7:13, that it's an action item, that the Air District reach out to you to pinpoint the actual locations. And I know we've done some of that already, but now you're saying that there's multiple canals. So let's make sure that all of them are pinpointed, so that when you have a conversation.
Let me put this in point. I would like to find out a solution how to fix up this problem, but to make everybody accountable to put signs.
Yes, and that's what we're trying to solve for. Right now, the people that are on this call today, unfortunately, because it is frustrating, do not have a solution. It is outside the jurisdiction of the people on this call. And unfortunately, that's how government works.
Well, we should have had a solution a long time ago. This is like a year topic, a long time ago.
Right. So we need to bring the right people to the table to find a solution that can be implemented. And that's the action item. And so, again, I appreciate you bringing this question and not giving up, because we need to find a solution to the problem that exists in the community. And that is what we're here for. So this will be, I encourage you to come to the next agenda setting meeting that will be held February 5th, so that we can make sure that this has some accountability and we can bring it back to the next meeting. And then our next meeting is scheduled for February 25th, and it'll be a Zoom meeting as well. And so, as a reminder for everyone who's part of the committee and anybody part of the public, you are welcome to come to the agenda setting meetings. We do have other updates to share with you today, but we are out of time. We're over time, and we apologize for keeping you over. So I want to make sure that you all can continue this conversation about what topics you want to see covered at the next agenda setting meeting, and by joining us on Zoom, and then we'll bring those topics back. We heard a lot of those topics today. So instead of reviewing all the action items that we've committed to today, we'll send those to you via email. If you see any discrepancies, or if you have any other questions and follow-up, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. But for now, we're gonna be mindful that everyone has families and places to go to at this time. And we're going to wrap up today's meeting. I really appreciate everyone staying on for an extra 15 minutes and really, talking about the need that we have in the Arvin Lamont community, where we really need to have these agencies and industry and businesses talking the same language, really finding solutions together. And I truly believe that if we continue to have this transparent and accountable conversation, we're definitely going to get there. And today is one example of that. So good night, everyone, and we will see you at the agenda setting meeting next week. Have a good evening and take care. And
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
buenas noches.